For All the Jural Assemblies Part 29 The Confederation of States by Anna von Reitz. Both the word state and the word of need special attention when we read. The word state can represent a multitude of things. It can refer to a state of mind, or the soil jurisdiction of your natural state, or your landed state of the Union, or, as too often happens, the word state can be used as shorthand for something that properly needs to be called a state of state. We have the federal states of states also being called Confederate States almost from the moment the Articles of Confederation were signed in 1781. Please duly note this confusion and know that Confederate States are not states in the same way nor existing in the same jurisdiction as our land jurisdiction, states. They are instead states of states which are entirely fictional and disconnected from the world of fact. The word of creates a separation between states like Maine and states of states like the state of Maine, which was the original federal state of state for Maine. That is also to say that the state of Maine was the original Confederate state created under the Articles of Confederation in 1781, 2 years before the end of the Revolutionary War. About now we have people scratching their heads. What? Confederate states during the Revolutionary War? Yes, contrary to what most of us have been taught or left to assume, Confederate States, more properly and less confusingly called Federal States of States, existed and operated long before the so-called Civil War. In the case before us, the word of also implies ownership. The state of Maine, a Confederation state, belongs to Maine, a Federation state, and Maine belongs to the people of Maine. A state of state is not a state. A state of state is a commercial business entity operating in the global municipal jurisdiction. It is pure legal fiction, a fiction created by a fiction. In this case, Maine created the state of Maine. Let's review the process. The living people of a state come together to form a state jural assembly, and this group operating in the capacity of people, that is, elected officials, hired officers, jurors, and electors of the state jural assembly create their state, for example, Maine. Maine is a complete state, because it is not entirely fictional. The state of Maine is called an incomplete state or an inchoate state because it is entirely fictional, having no express material boundaries or location in space. Maine is geographically defined and has substance and assets. At the same time it is corporate and a legal fiction in the sense that it has a fictitious and arbitrary proper name. Maine only stands for the land and soil of Maine because that is the name the people of Maine chose. They could have chosen to call their estate Wamsutta, and we could have the state of Wamsutta to deal with instead. So, the United States is composed of unincorporated Republican states like Wisconsin, doing business as the Wisconsin Republic, national soil, and the Republic of Wisconsin, national surface water, and it is populated by living people using proper names like James Woodby. The United States of America is composed of unincorporated but corporate states like Ohio, doing business as Ohio, international land and sea, and is inhabited by the people of Ohio, that is, living people acting as lawful persons, and populated by these lawful persons using proper names like James Allen Woodby. The States of America is composed of incorporated states of states like the state of Pennsylvania, doing commercial business in the global municipal jurisdiction of the air. The state, soil and surface water, gives rise to the state, international land and sea, which gives rise to the state of state, global municipal jurisdiction. The people of a country populate its soil and surface water jurisdiction and they give rise to the people, lawful persons, populating states operating in the international jurisdiction of the land and sea, and thence, the lawful persons give rise to legal persons inhabiting states of states operating in the global municipal jurisdiction of the air and commerce. Actual living people acting as lawful persons create states, but states then create states of states populated by legal persons, so at each stage of this process we observe increasing fictionalization. We go from actual and factual to airy-fairy in 3 basic steps: state greater than state, state of state, and from living person to lawful person to legal person in the same 3 steps. As you will note, the state level is the last connection to the actual, factual world we know. After that, it's all fiction and fictions creating more fictions, spinning off endless doing business as legal personas. It's in this completely fictional realm of the global municipal air jurisdiction that the States of America was created to function in 1781. The members of this perpetual union of Confederate States were states of states belonging to our states and operating in the global municipal jurisdiction of the air, in commerce. The Confederation of States, more properly, the Confederation of States, doing business as the States of America as of March 1, 1781, was composed of commercial businesses owned and operated by our states. Maine owned and operated the state of Maine. Virginia owned and operated the state of Virginia. Georgia owned and operated the state of Georgia. This is the way our American government was already set up as of 1781, and with a little alteration caused by the adoption of the constitutions, this is the way it was structured until after the Civil War, when the federal states of states went missing in action. Please hit subscribe, like, share, embed, and get ready for many more Anna von Reitz videos.